We're going to begin our press conference. Vamos a dar inicio a nuestra conferencia de prensa. First, we're going to hear from Miami-Dade County Mayor Daniela Levin Cava, followed by Board of County Commissioners Chair Oliver Gilbert, and then Commissioner Marlin Bastian, who's going to give some remarks in Creole, our Chief of Public Safety Officer, James Reyes, and we're going to also have Creole interpretation at the end, and we're going to open up for questions. We are thankful for our commissioners present in the room at the moment, and as well as our Director of the Department of Emergency Management at the National Weather Service, who are going to be available for questions. Thank you.
Great. Good morning. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for being here as Miami-Dade County prepares for the potential impacts of Hurricane Milton. And I want to thank especially my colleagues, our chairman, Oliver Gilbert, our Commissioner Marlin Bastian, Commissioner Cabrera, and all of our department leads who are here to answer your questions, along with Mayor of Sweetwater, Pepe Diaz, former chair, County Commission.
Gimenez.
Commissioner Bermudez.
Right behind you.
Right behind, directly behind.
Right here.
Right behind you.
Yeah.
You can't miss him, right, yellow.
It's yellow.
Okay. We are collaborating closely with our commission and with our partners in the cities, our school board, our Catholic schools, our private schools, everybody in the community to make sure that our community is prepared for the storm's potential impacts. Hurricane Milton has been rapidly upgraded and most recently to a Category 5 storm as it continues to head towards landfall on the West Coast. I want to especially acknowledge our neighbors in the Tampa Bay area and communities all along the west coast of Florida who are now bracing for yet another destructive storm. They're still in the early days of recovery from Hurricane Helene. And we want to continue to think of all those across the Southeast who have been devastated by Helene, for the lives lost, and to pray for those who are in Milton's path as the storm approaches landfall. Although Miami-Dade County is not currently in the cone of concern, there is still concern about the fact that this is a major storm, and it is important that we are prepared. The likely impacts to Miami-Dade County include substantial rain, localized flooding, and the possibility of sustained tropical storm force winds starting as early as tomorrow night, Tuesday. As we continue to closely monitor, the Emergency Operations Center here was activated at a level 2 starting this morning so that we could better coordinate preparation and mitigation efforts, and I signed a local state of emergency to ensure that we are prepared. As of this morning, no county services have been impacted, and all of our county offices remain open. We will continue to monitor throughout the day, and we will make decisions for tomorrow as more information becomes available. And again, we will coordinate with our other partners in the county. Out of an abundance of caution, we're announcing a voluntary evacuation of mobile home parks and medically vulnerable residents. Our county departments are also taking key steps to ensure we're ready to respond smoothly and seamlessly during and after the storm. We have already been preparing for and responding to flooding over the last few days due to the precursor weather event, which continues to bring significant rain. Our Department of Regulatory and Economic Resources, RER, in close coordination with the South Florida Water Management District, is monitoring water and rain levels and has lowered canal water levels across Miami-Dade in preparation for landfall. As of this morning, our canals are slightly higher compared to yesterday, but our teams believe we still have capacity for the rains that are expected in the coming days. And over the weekend, the Miami-Dade Department of Transportation and Public Works, DTPW, led inspections of our local drainage areas, and they worked to remove debris, especially in our low-lying areas. DTPW crews and contractors are ready to deploy as soon as needed, and as of this morning, our transit systems continue operating as usual. Our water and sewer department is installing temporary dams in vulnerable areas, draining the wastewater system where possible, increasing staffing at all wastewater treatment plants, and preparing vacuum trucks to deploy as needed. And today, our Parks Department began distributing sandbags at 9 regional parks countywide, and those locations are available on our website, miamidade.gov/Milton. We have already distributed over 5,000 sandbags since this morning, and bags will be available at all sites until we run out, anticipated later today. Our Department of Solid Waste Management has extended our trash and recycling center hours until 7 p.m. today and tomorrow, and other operations continue as normal. All other services, including garbage, recycling, bulky pickup, are operating normally, weather permitting. The Homeless Trust is executing their emergency weather protocols, as always, and taking steps now to protect vulnerable, unsheltered people. Homeless outreach teams are transporting individuals to available overflow space as needed. For all of our visitors across the county and those who are traveling, Miami International Airport and Port Miami are open, and they are operating as usual. We continue to encourage travelers flying on airplanes to confirm the flight status with the airline before heading to the airport. Animal Services is also putting a plan in place to ensure the animals in the shelter are safe during the storm, and we are extremely grateful for the community that has stepped up to welcome our pets as fosters in their homes in anticipation of the storm. There are many ways that our residents can help our county become storm ready. You can help to minimize the possibility of overflows to our wastewater system by keeping manholes covered. In other words, do not pry open the manholes to allow water to drain. Do not. And minimize your water usage in the morning and evening during heavy rain. If you need to report severe flooding within unincorporated Miami-Dade or the city of Miami, please call 311. Use the 311 Direct app, and please only call 911 if you have a medical or life-threatening emergency. We have county crews on standby to support us by draining flooded areas as needed. We urge all residents and visitors to keep in mind important flood safety measures such as turn around, don't drown. Avoid walking or driving in flooded areas. Head to miamidade.gov/hurricane or download the Ready MDC app for iPhone or Android for more flood safety information and updates. Continue monitoring local media and verified social media platforms as we share important updates about conditions throughout this week. And I want to say a personal thank you to all of our county staff and our partners who are working so hard to make sure that all of our residents are prepared and that we can keep them safe. Thank you all, and God bless. Y ahora un poquito en español. El huracán Milton es ahora una gran tormenta de categoría 5 a medida que sigue acercándose a la costa oeste. Nuestros corazones y mentes están con nuestros vecinos en el área de Tampa y las comunidades en la costa oeste de Florida que ahora se están preparando para otra tormenta mientras todavía se recuperan del huracán Helene. Aunque el condado de Miami-Dade no se encuentra en el cono por el momento, esta es una tormenta importante y es importante que estemos preparados. Los impactos probables en Miami-Dade incluyen lluvia, inundaciones y posiblemente vientos de fuerza de tormenta tropical, empezando el martes por la noche, mañana. Mientras seguimos monitoreando la tormenta de cerca, el Centro de Operaciones de Emergencia se activó en un nivel 2 esta mañana para coordinar esfuerzos y ayer firmé un estado de emergencia local para estar preparados. Hasta esta mañana, ningún servicio del condado se ha visto afectado y todas nuestras oficinas permanecen abiertas. Seguiremos monitoreando hoy y tomaremos decisiones para mañana cuando haya más información disponible. También anunciamos una evacuación voluntaria de parques de casas móviles y comunidades con necesidades médicas. Además, los departamentos de nuestro condado también están tomando medidas para prepararnos para la lluvia y poder responder sin problemas durante y después de la tormenta. Invito a la comunidad que estén preparados desde hoy. Para tips de seguridad y más otra información, visitan miamidade.gov/hurricane, llaman al 311, descarguen la aplicación Ready MDC en iPhone y Android. Muchas gracias. Y ahora nuestro jefe de gabinete del comisión, our chairman, Oliver Gilbert. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. We've been here before. As a community, as a county, we've been here before. And let me say, we all are praying for the folks who are north of us in the Tampa area where it's projected to hit. But sometimes I feel like we actually get a little complacent because we haven't been hit really hard lately. And what I want to encourage everyone who's listened to the mayor talk about how prepared we are as a county. We're prepared as a county, but we have to also be prepared as a community. And that's going to be us. That's going to be people actually taking the storm seriously, the possibility of the storm. It's always better to over-prepare, even if the storm underperforms in this area. That means looking around your house. That means having water. That means looking out for your neighbors. Look, we know how to get through this as a community because we've done it so often. It's hard, but we have done it so often. But we know we can because we have. And it's now just going to be incumbent on us to take this seriously because this moves a little to the south. And this is a completely different conversation. This is a bad storm. If we're not careful, people can lose lives and property. So when the mayor's speaking and you're listening to all the remarks, she's chronicling the precautions we're taking. Take all of that seriously. And you take those precautions for yourself. Have medicine available. Have some food available. Remember, you're actually the first responder to you. You're the first responder in some respects to your neighbor. Be good neighbors. We know how to do this. We have done it. It's my expectation that we'll do it again because we're Miami-Dade County and we're used to getting through really big, difficult things. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And now we'll hear from Commissioner Marlin Bastian.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good afternoon. Buenas tardes. Bonsoir. Non, moi c'est Marlin Bastien, moi c'est commissionnaire pour District 2. Moi là aujourd'hui moi campé avec magistrat Kava avec l'autre membre commission pour dire non cyclone Milton li changé de catégorie 2 à catégorie 5. Catégorie 5. Pendant qu'on a fait face avec un cyclone comme ça, l'important pour nous comprendre l'importance pour nous prendre soin de tête non et pour nous préparer en conséquence. M'a dit non kounya là pour nous prendre cyclone ça avec en pile précaution. Prendre au sérieux parce que même l'heure nous connaît les pas attaquer non direct frapper non directement mais il y a possibilité que magistrat a dit avec un commissionnaire pour en pile la pluie vent et puis inondation nous connaît dans Miami-Dade County nous avons pile problème avec question inondation m'a demandé non pour nous prendre ça avec un pile sérieux et puis si nous gagne famille moun la kay non ti bébé grandette préparé pour yo. On a besoin de médicaments, on a besoin de manger, on a besoin de l'eau, on a besoin de l'aide. Tout ça, on a besoin préparer pour ça, pas négliger. Donc, on a un gouverneur de santé avec Mayor Kava, il a déclaré un état d'urgence. État d'urgence là, il prend pour nos cas rester véatif, pour nous prendre ça au sérieux. Et puis pour nous rester en contact avec bureau commission que c'est commission 2, 3, donc on a 13 commissions. Rester en contact avec commissionnaire non. Bureau dans là pour adresser tout concernant tout ça nous gagne toute question nous gagne non là pour nous adresser yo. Après il y a plus de détails sur sa magistrature dit en créole, même tu voulais parler directement avec nous pour dire non, pas négliger. Prends cyclone au sérieux et puis prends précaution parce que il y a la pluie, il y a le vent, il y a inondation. Non c'est Miami-Dade, non fort. We are Miami-Dade County and we are strong. Thank you.
Merci. Okay. Now we're going to hear from our Chief of Public Safety, James Reyes.
Good afternoon. We know the storms are unpredictable, And while we often focus on the cone of concern, the outer bands carry damaging winds and bring large amounts of rain. First, I'd like to thank our police, our fire, our first responders, and emergency personnel who have been working nonstop to provide aid and support ahead of the storm. Miami-Dade County will be expecting potential tropical storm force winds as Hurricane Milton approaches the west coast of Florida. Miami-Dade County residents must keep top priority and be cautious when approaching flooded streets, as any situation can become life-threatening. Most important for our residents is to take time to prepare. Follow the guidance offered by state, county, and city officials. If you're on the streets, it's important to heed the warnings of police and first responders. If you come across an emergency vehicle with sirens, please be sure to make way for the vehicle and allow them to pass immediately. Please be patient, report any emergency, and please be cautious as our dedicated teams respond to the urgent needs of our community. From the public safety perspective, we have pre-staged our assets strategically across the county to ensure readiness and a fast response to whatever impact our county might experience. Also, please keep in mind that fire units, including our helicopters, stop operations if conditions reach sustained winds that make operations unsafe. Unsafe operation conditions also include flooding, down power lines, high winds, rain, and reduced visibility. Another important reminder, please only call 911 for emergency situations and report flooding. Please call 311. As South Floridians know, this is the moment to take any precautionary steps for our families, our businesses, and our loved ones. Here at Miami-Dade, we're praying for our neighbors along the West Coast who are bracing for a direct hit, and our community stands ready to deploy resources as the storm passes. Buenas tardes a todos. Sabemos que las tormentas son impredecibles y aunque la atención suele centrarse en el cono de preocupación, las bandas exteriores pueden transportar vientos que pueden provocar grandes daños y cantidades de lluvia. Primero, me gustaría agradecer a nuestros policías, a nuestros bomberos y a nuestro personal de emergencia que han estado trabajando sin parar para brindar ayuda y apoyo antes de la tormenta. El condado de Miami-Dade anticipa vientos con fuerza de tormenta tropical a medida que el huracán Milton se acerque a la costa oeste del estado de la Florida. Los residentes del condado de Miami-Dade deben de mantener la seguridad, tener cuidado al acercarse a calles inundadas, ya que cualquier situación puede poner en peligro a sus vidas. Lo más importante para nosotros, para nuestros residentes, es tomarse el tiempo para prepararse. Siga las recomendaciones de los funcionarios estatales del condado y de las ciudades. Si está en la calle, también es importante prestar atención a las advertencias de la policía y de los bomberos. Si encuentra un vehículo de emergencia con sirenas activadas, asegúrese de darle paso al vehículo para pasar inmediatamente. Tenga paciencia, informe a cualquier emergencia y tenga cuidado mientras nuestros equipos responden a las necesidades urgentes. Desde el punto de vista de seguridad pública, hemos preestablecido nuestro personal estratégicamente en todo el condado para garantizar la preparación y la respuesta rápida ante cualquier impacto que podemos tener como experiencia aquí al nivel local. Además, tengan en cuenta que las unidades de rescate contra incendios, incluidos nuestros helicópteros, pueden detener las operaciones si las condiciones alcanzan vientos que pueden hacer que las operaciones sean inseguras. Las condiciones de operación inseguras incluyen inundaciones, cables caídos, fuertes vientos y lluvia, que reducen la visibilidad para nuestros oficiales. Otro recordatorio importante, llame únicamente al 911 en situaciones de emergencia. Y para informar inundaciones, por favor, llame al 311. Aquí en el sur de la Florida sabemos que este es el momento de tomar medidas de precaución para nuestras familias, nuestros negocios y nuestros seres queridos. El condado de Miami-Dade está orando por nuestros vecinos de la costa oeste que se están preparando para un impacto directo y nuestra comunidad está lista para desplegar recursos a medida que pase la tormenta. Muchas gracias.
For any additional details in Creole. Thank you.
Bonjour tout le monde. Cyclone Milton yo élevé li à catégorie 5. C'est un grand cyclone nié. Quoi que Miami-Dade pas nan kon occupation et cyclone nan, li important pour nous rester préparés, pour nous préparer nous. Impact qui va gagner sur Miami-Dade County, c'est gros vent, en pile la pluie avec inondation. Pendant n'a pas préparé nous, pendant n'a pas continuer suivre cyclone nan, nous gagnons activer bureau urgence, opération d'urgence là, et nous mettons la catégorie 2 à partir d'aujourd'hui. Préparation a fait pour nous alléger tout un impact qui va faire sur comté. À partir de matin, tout service, pas aucun service dans comté qui est impacté. Tout service a pu travailler. N'a continuer suivre et nous va faire préparation pour demain si Dieu veut selon nécessité qui présentée. Par mesure précaution, nous avons annoncé une évacuation volontaire. Parmi les gens qui étaient dans mobile home, dans pas mobile home yo, avec les gens qui dans communauté médicale yo, qui est très vulnérable, nous demandons pour nous prendre décision pour nous évacuer. Et département nous yo a prendre des mesures pour nous répondre à quel que soit besoin qui va venir avant, pendant et après cyclone. Département ressources économiques et régulation a suivre niveau de l'eau dans canal nous yo dans en façon pour faire de l'eau aller, de l'eau inondation aller pour pas créer trop désordre, trop problème dans la communauté. Ou capable aider minimiser impact yo, pas retirer couverture sous un système drainage nous, quitter yo fermé. Et puis minimiser quantité de l'eau n'a pas servi qui peut aller dans de l'eau usée. Okay. Et si nous avons besoin de plus d'informations, allez sur miamidade.gov Hurricane ou bien relais 311. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you. Merci. Merci. Okay, so now we're just open for any questions.
¿Por qué sugerir y no hacerlo mandatorio? ¿Por qué no hacerlo obligatorio en la evacuación de los mobile homes que siempre sabemos que es de más impacto?
Pete, you want to answer that? Okay.
Como no es cierto que los vientos ciclónicos esos van a llegar 100%, le estamos sugiriendo a las personas que viven en los mobile homes que evacúen, hagan esa decisión. Si fuera que 100% iban a llegar esos vientos, entonces la decisión hubiera sido mandatorio.
Y estamos siguiendo, monitoreando a ver si es más necesario.
Along that same thought with the mobile home park, but more also for our English listening audience as well, how do you plan to encourage people on the ground in those mobile home parks and those that also have medical condition that you're also encouraging to get out of certain zones as well? So what does that process look like? And if you can't financially afford to leave, how does the county step in and assist them?
We have not activated evacuation of any zones, only mobile homes as voluntary and the medically vulnerable. So those are lists that we have. We're doing direct outreach to those individuals. It is not an across-the-board evacuation, neither voluntary nor mandatory. Oh, excuse me. And we are standing up evacuation centers and also working with our hospitals for the medically vulnerable.
Quería preguntarle en cuanto a las escuelas, ¿qué decisión hay también tomada? Muchos padres se preguntan si...
Sí. Las escuelas van a decidir ellos mismos qué van a hacer durante la tarde mirando el progreso del huracán, pero hasta el momento no hay decisión de cerrarlo ni del condado. Las oficinas estamos en normal. Tampoco necesitamos las escuelas para shelters, no hay necesidad en este momento. That was a question about the schools, and they are going to decide on their own, but in consultation with us, and as of now, there's been no notification about closures. Yes, Doug.
Hi. Is this the first time the county has distributed sandbags? And could we get any advice for people watching who have a question, well, should I get a sandbag? When should you get a sandbag?
So in my 10 years serving as county commissioner, now as mayor, there has not been a county-wide distribution of sandbags until today, but some commissioners have taken initiative in the past, and some cities do routinely distribute sandbags. I'm going to let Pete speak to the issue of the utility of sandbags.
Yeah, that's a.
Okay. And just to clarify, our sandbag distribution is open to all. We're not requiring ID or proof of where you live. Thank you.
Yeah, Doug, there's a lot of preparedness efforts that you take. The county has never partaken in distribution of sandbags, but there was a big demand, and there was a lot of discussion amongst us, and we decided to start producing some kind of sandbag distribution program.
Who was the demand from?
From the community, just a lot of folks.
People were writing saying, will you have sandbags in case a storm arrives?
There was.
Yeah, I would say as well, our commissioners wanted to be responsive to requests. And as I say in the past, some of them have done this on their own. And of course, the cities that do it does also create an expectation that this could be useful. Yeah, sure.
So this morning, I was at Oak Grove with my staff and at the Gwen Cherry Park, I can tell you. Cars lined up to get the sandbags. So there is a big need, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah, in Spanish, and actually, Maria, say how many have been picked up. Maria Nardi is our Parks, Recreation, Open Space Director. Maria Nardi.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Mayor. Yes, to date, we've had about 1,454 cars throughout our 9 sites, and we've distributed about 5,859 bags of sand. That still keeps progressing. We anticipate that we will have run out by the end of today. Sí, cómo no. Hasta este punto tenemos 1,454 carros que han visitado los 9 parques donde hemos iniciado este programa. Y en total hemos distribuido 5,859 bolsas de arena. Esperamos hasta el fin del día, según el paso que estamos viendo, estimamos que probablemente hemos de acabar hasta el fin del día.
And is that it for the sandbags, or we have more tomorrow?
That is something that is being evaluated and will be determined at a later date.
And how much does one sandbag weigh, do you know?
It's about 30 pounds.
Oh, he says 10.
About 10 pounds, I stand corrected. It feels like 30 when they're wet, but it's about 10.
But we're trying to keep them dry. Yes. Commissioner Cabrera.
Sure. Thank you, Madam Mayor. And Doug, I think to your earlier question about the sandbags, thank you, Mayor, for implementing the sandbags countywide. And I think it's helpful because traditionally only municipalities did it. So we want to make sure for the folks that live in unincorporated areas, they have the opportunity to get those sandbags as well. Gracias a la alcaldesa por implementar el programa de las bolsas de arena en el condado entero, que tradicionalmente solo eran en las áreas que las ciudades lo estaban haciendo, y esto es una oportunidad para las personas que viven en las áreas unincorporadas que también tengan la oportunidad de tener estas bolsas de arena para proteger a sus casas.
Yes.
You mentioned some of the efforts you've already taken to mitigate flooding ahead of this storm. Can anything else be done ahead of time, such as maybe lowering the canals even more so, other types of dams that can be put in place, or do you feel like you've accomplished what you needed to up to this point?
We've been very aggressive, lowering the canals in coordination with the South Florida Water Management District, adding those dams that we mentioned, creating water absorption areas, and the measures that we're asking the public to help us with, not opening up those manhole covers because that overflows our sewer system. That's critically important. And not using extra water if you don't need to during high points of rain. Mayor Diaz says a lot of prayer. Yes, the pumps. So, la pregunta sobre las bombas. Tenemos bombas del Departamento de los Bomberos, también del Departamento de Transportación, los dos, y también el Estado esté listo, que tienen también la cantidad para ayudarnos si sería necesaria. So, we do have pumps available for our Department of Transportation and Public Works. For our Water and Sewer Department has pumps. Our solid waste department has pumps, and our fire department has pumps. So we have quite a quantity, and of course we're monitoring and encouraging people to call 311 if there is water accumulation, and we will attend to it. Anything else? Oh, yes, please.
So that's a great question, and I'm glad Mayor Diaz is here because the county in the past has taken very proactive mitigation efforts to try to minimize the flooding through federal grant programs. They call it BRIC now, Building Resilience Infrastructure Communities. We have applied and got millions of dollars in grant money where we were able to build, put pumps in different areas in some municipalities out here so that we're able to move the water. And we've actually, so South Florida Water Management District recently, last year, got a $50 million grant from the BRIC program to increase the capacity of some of their canals. So when you ask that question, it's a great question. We have been very proactive in trying to mitigate any flood through rain by these programs.
And that is how we got our community rating system to go from a 5 to a 3, which led to the 35% reduction in our flood insurance rates in the unincorporated parts of the county. And many cities are taking similar measures, and you can be assured that Sweetwater is one of the cities that is very aggressive to prevent flooding.
Ok, la pregunta fue qué hemos hecho nosotros para mitigar el problema de las inundaciones, y le estaba explicando que el condado ha sido muy responsivo a aplicar por grants, fondos federales para traer dinero aquí en el condado, especialmente el alcalde Pepe Díaz fue instrumental en ese proceso hace años, y nosotros hemos traído millones de dólares. Por ejemplo, el South Florida Water Management District el año pasado recibió $50 millones para subir la capacidad de los canales y ciertas cosas así. Y hemos también puesto ciertas bombas grandes para mover el agua cuando vemos esas inundaciones.
Anybody else?
Has Miami-Dade County been asked to assist in anything involving the West Coast, any of the resources?
Yes, thank you. We, first of all, we did deploy a fire rescue team that went up for Hurricane Helene, and I'll have, and they've returned, but they were able to provide essential service and take not just 84 individuals and their canine team, but also a lot of equipment, and so we're very helpful. And of course, we're always on the ready to be deployed, and we have had requests, and Pete, you want to explain?
It's another great question, Doug. For Helene, yes, we did respond with 84-member Type 1 task force to help. In this, and we also sent members from the Department of Emergency Management to assist Taylor County, the State Emergency Operations Center, and some ISD members also went to North Carolina. In this particular event, we've already received requests from the state EOC and Director Guthrie because we're anticipating the needs on the West Coast. This particular time in Florida is unprecedented. They've never had this kind of back-to-back-to-back disasters where they are taxed in such a way, and they're asking for assistance from every county that's not being impacted. Obviously, I think we're going to be one of the counties that is going to have minimum impact, so we're going to be able to assist them as soon as we're clear to go. But yes, the mayor has directed us to assist in any way, shape, or form that we can.
Looks good. Thank you so very much for helping us to get out this important news.